Hanuman Temple, and we're in our fourth evening of the Navaratri program of Ramayana reading. So at this point, we are being introduced into Aranyakand, which is the forest life, where Ram, Sita, Lakshman, who have been banished, are now deep into the forest, and the issues will start to become much more challenging going forward. So again, welcome, and let's delve into it. The forest life. Rama led the way into the depths of Dandaka forest. It seemed strangely empty of animals, but filled with a dark, brooding presence. They saw signs of destruction, such as trees stripped of their branches and the remains of animals brutally mutilated. Suddenly, from the shadows, emerged a huge, deformed creature dressed in tiger skins, dragging behind it several animal carcasses. It pounced on Sita and carried her off. "My name is Viradha," it roared, "and I will keep this woman." Rama hesitated at what to do. The demon saw that they were not ordinary ascetics and demanded to know who they were. Rama told him their names and shot 7 arrows into the body of Viradha. In fury, the demon released Sita and charged upon the 2 brothers. They rained arrows upon him, but he merely laughed and shrugged them off. "No weapon can hurt me. I was once a celestial being, but am now cursed to live as a man-eater. Only Rama, the son of Dasarat, can free me. Now, Ram, you are here, so please kill me and release me from this curse." He told Rama to bury him alive, as this was the only way he could be killed. So they dug a deep pit and buried Viradha. With his last breath, he murmured, "Forgive me, Lord, I did not recognize you. This forest is a dangerous place. Go to the sage Sarabhanga on the nearby hill, and he will advise you where you can safely stay." Following Virad's counsel, they made their way to the ashram of Sarabhanga. As they approached it, they saw a golden chariot yoked with 4 green horses, hovering in the air above the place. In it sat Indra, the king of heaven. But as soon as he saw them, he rose swiftly into the sky. Sarabhanga came out to greet them, saying, "Indra is here to take me to heaven as a reward for my austerities. But first, I have waited to see you, my lord. I must advise you to see Sutikshana. Follow the course of the Mandakini river, and you will find his ashram. He will show you your way in the forest. Now, having seen you, I can go to paradise." Then, before their eyes, the old sage was transformed into a dazzling youth and was raised up into the heavens. They were about to leave when a throng of sages emerged from the forest to petition Ram. "This region is terrorized by man-eating demons," they cried. "Please fight them, or we will all be killed." Rama promised them his protection. Sita, however, was against fighting. She wanted him to live in the forest without violence. They moved steadily southwest across the Deccan plateau, coming to Sutikshana's ashram on the peak of a mountain. They did this, and wherever they went were ample fruits and roots, herbs and deer, and crystal clear lakes. Continuing westwards, they reached the ashram of the sage Agastya. His strength kept that part of the forest free from demons. He received them with due honor and presented Rama with a set of divine weapons, once used by Vishnu. "Tell us where we should stay," asked Rama. 2 days' walk from here is the beautiful forest of Panchavati," replied the sage, "always full of blossoms and close beside the river Godavari. There you must defend the sages from the attack of Rakshasas." Agastya's directions were clear and resolved any doubts. Using Vishnu's weapons, Rama must fight to defend the sages. So they journeyed to Panchavati, following the path pointed out to them by Agastya, until they reached the foot of the mountains of the Western Ghats. As they entered the region, they encountered a gigantic and terrifying vulture. At first, they took it for any other demon ready to devour them, until Rama asked who it was. It replied, "Dear son, I am a friend of your father. My name is Jatayu, and I am nephew of Garuda, the divine carrier of Vishnu. I will protect Sita from the demons who live here." Rama was grateful for this offer, and together they entered Panchavati. Lakshman built a cottage of earth, bamboo, and thatch for Sita and Ram, and covered its floor with reed matting. As winter set in, a cold westerly wind blew, and the woodlands were wrapped in fog. Mist shrouded the river, and elephants shrank from its touch. Still, the brothers and the princess bathed each morning in the cold waters and offered prayers through the mist to the rising sun. One morning, they were surprised to see a strange, misshapen creature, half woman, half monster. Her skin was rough, her face and body ugly. She gazed on Rama, infatuated with his beauty, and spoke with a rasping voice. "Noble creature, who are you and what are you doing here?" "I am Ram, son of Dasarat," said Ram politely. "This is Lakshman, my younger brother, and here is Sita, my wife. We are here on the command of my father to do penance. But tell me, charming lady of slender limb, who you are and what brings you to our cottage." "My name is Surpanaka, sister of the demon king Ravana," she replied, her passions inflamed by Ram's gallant words. "I lived near here with my two cousins, Kar and Dushan. Ever since I first saw you, I have wanted you. I am not feeble like this ugly Sita. I have strength and passion equal to yours. Let me devour Sita and Lakshman so that we can be alone in the forest." "But I am already married," laughed Ram. "Why don't you choose Lakshman, my younger brother? He is handsome, strong, and would make a far better husband for you." Hearing this, Surpanaka turned her amorous attentions upon Lakshman. "Come then, Lakshman, I will be your wife, and we will wander through the forest together." "But why should you want me, O beauty of soft complexion?" joked Lakshman, "when I'm merely a servant of Ram. Better that you become Rama's wife and replace this ugly Sita." Surpanaka's simple brain was confused. She knew only that Sita stood in her way. With eyes like red-hot coals, she rushed at Sita, intent on killing her. "Punish her, Lakshman," cried Rama, catching hold of the hideous monster. In an instant, Lakshman had cut off her ears and her nose, making her roar in agony. The unfortunate creature, splattered in blood, fled deep into the jungle. Surpanaka flew straight to her cousin Kar and threw herself on the ground in front of him, bleeding and sobbing. He was shocked to see her condition and said, "My poor cousin, what fool has done this to you?" inviting instant death. Two handsome princes, Ram and Lakshman, dressed as ascetics, are in the forest with a beautiful young girl. Out of jealousy, she made them do this to me. I will not be satisfied until you have killed them all, and I have drunk the girl's blood." Kar, in fury, dispatched 14 Rakshasa demons from his personal guard to kill Ram and his companions. Surpanaka led them to the cottage. Seeing them, Ram quickly ordered Lakshman to take Sita away to a safe distance, leaving him to deal with the intruders alone. The Rakshasas charged at Ram, hurling spears and clubs, but he cut down their projectiles with 14 gold-tipped arrows. He then shot another 14 arrows, killing each of the Rakshasas. Surpanaka, pale and shaken, escaped and hurried back to her cousin. "I have sent my soldiers to avenge you," growled Kar, So why are you now rolling on the ground like a wounded serpent?" "I have seen a terrible thing," wailed Supar. "These brave demons of yours have all been slain by Ram. He killed them as easily as a lion kills jackals. And now I am afraid. This Ram has entered our forest with his sharp arrows, and I don't see how you can stand up to him. We will all be killed. What are you going to do?" "Stop your tears, cousin," assured Kara, biting his lip in rage. "Today I will send Ram to the abode of death." Kara ordered his brother Dushan to bring an army of 14,000 Rakshasas. He ascended his golden chariot, engraved with alligators, moons, and stars, with wheels encrusted with jewels and hung about with bells. Looking like death personified, he strode through the jungle with his dreaded army, bristling with clubs, spears, javelins, swords, axes, and scimitars. On his way, his left arm throbbed, and his eyes dimmed with tears. He saw a red halo around the sun, and darkness enveloped him, even though it was daytime. His horses slipped on the road, and a vulture perched upon his flagpole. "What do I care for these bad omens?" shrieked Kara. "Nothing can stand in my way." He encouraged his army to go forward with a great battle roar. Rama, meanwhile, experienced good omens. His right arm throbbed, favorable birds perched on nearby branches, and Lakshman's face shone brightly. At the approach of the demon army, he ordered Lakshman to take Sita to a safe place. Divine beings gathered anxiously in the sky to watch. The ensigns of the demons came into view with much shouting and clashing of swords on shields. Ram stood alone, howling, holding his bow tightly before him, his knuckles white, his eyes pinpointed on the approaching enemy, his arrows at the ready. His usually gentle face was suffused with anger, and he shone like a white-hot flame. Kara surrounded Ram with his troops. Thousands of weapons of all description rained down on the solitary hero. Rama was besieged like a mountain peak, enveloped in storm clouds, but he stood firm and poured arrows from his bow, intercepting all of the incoming weapons and absorbing their fury as the ocean absorbs a river in flood. His bow seemed permanently bent in a great arc as his arrows struck the hearts of the demons. He split their bows, he cut their ensigns, and destroyed their chariots, driving them back to Kara for protection. Dushan, Kara's brother and general, rallied the demons and led a fresh assault. Arrows, clubs, uprooted trees, and boulders fell on Ram from all sides. He invoked a celestial weapon which threw back the entire host. His hands did not appear to move, only to rest on his bowstring. Yet thousands of razor-sharp arrows streamed from his bow, hiding the sun. Ram gradually reduced the demons until the ground was strewn thickly with helmets, broken weapons, and broken bodies. Out of this carnage rushed Dushan, armed with an enormous gold-plated club spiked with iron, capable of flattening a whole army. But Rama's arrows cut off his arms and killed him. Trishira, Kara's greatest champion, terrible to look upon with 3 heads, advanced like a black storm cloud, emitting torrents of arrows and roaring like thunder. He clashed with Ram as a lion clashes with an elephant, wounding him on the forehead. Enraged, Ram released arrows, destroying his chariot and cutting off his 3 heads. Blood spurted from his severed trunk as he fell dead, and his cohorts fled, terrified, into the forest. Now it was Kara's turn. With fear in his heart, he discharged magical weapons into the sky, and he charged at Ram as a moth is drawn into a fire. He pierced Ram with many arrows and split his bow. But Rama felt the arrows as an elephant feels the striking of a goad. He took up the diamond-studded bow of Vishnu, given to him by Agastya, and released 19 deadly shafts. 6 pierced Kara's head, arms, and chest. 12 shattered his chariot and killed his chariot driver and horses. And 1 struck him in the heart, knocking him to the ground. "You have persecuted holy men of the forest for mere sport," said Ram. "Now reap the reward of your sinful deeds. The sages you killed are watching this fight from the sky. Now they will see you dispatched to hell." But Kara stood firm with his huge mace. "What is the use of your boastful words when I am about to kill you?" he retorted. "I believe in action, not boastful words. You have killed all my soldiers, but now I will wipe away the tears of their relatives." Then he hurled his mace, which blazed with fire and burned the surrounding forest to ashes. As it flew through the air toward him, Ram shattered it into 1,000 fragments with his arrows. The demon uprooted a big tree, whirled it above his head, and threw it at Ram. But Rama's arrows cut the tree to pieces. Filled with anger, he pierced Kara with countless arrow shafts. Maddened by the smell of his own blood, the demon summoned his last strength to run headlong to Rama. Using a special arrow given to him by Agastya and the bow of Vishnu, Rama struck Kara in the chest. The smoking arrow entered the demon's heart with a sound like thunder, killing him instantly. The divine beings in the sky praised Rama and showered him with flowers. Sita emerged from hiding with Lakshman to embrace him in relief. The forest was safe once more. Ten-headed Ravan shifted uneasily on his throne. His 20 arms and broad chest were covered with scars from countless battles with the gods, any one of which could have killed a lesser being. He listened as Akampana, the sole survivor of Kara's army, told him how a mere man had single-handedly killed his entire garrison in Dandaka forest. His eyes burned blood red, and he hissed like a cobra. "Who is this man to risk my wrath?" asked Ravan. "He is the glorious Ram, son of Dasarat," replied Ankampana. "Then I shall go myself and destroy him," replied Ravan. "I would not advise it, O mighty king," said Akampana. "Ram is invincible. His arrows can bring down the very stars from the sky. But he has one weakness, his beautiful wife, Sita. Without her, he will lose his will to live." "Then I shall carry her off in my chariot," retorted Ravan. Mounting his golden chariot inlaid with jewels and drawn by mules, Ravan flew to his magician friend Maricha's distant hermitage. But when Marich heard Ravana's intention, he advised him against it. "What fool has advised you to kidnap Sita?" he asked. "It would be better to drink poison." So for a while Ravan swallowed his anger and hesitated and desisted from his plan. Then his sister Surpanaka, her face scarred, came to him eager for revenge. "I have been disfigured. Your territory has been usurped. 14,000 of your soldiers killed while you idly enjoy yourself. What kind of ruler are you?" she said as she taunted him again and again. Ravana's anger was stirred. "Tell me of this Ram," he said. "What is his strength? How does he fight? Is it he who has disfigured you?" "Ram is handsome, like the god of love, but his arrows bite like serpents," replied Surpanaka. "I could not see when he took arrows from his quiver, when he bent his bow, or when he released them. I could only see our soldiers fall into a field, like into a field of corn before a hailstorm. In an hour and a half, he killed 14,000 of them. His brother Lakshman did this atrocity to me on account of Sita, his beautiful wife. She presides over the forest like a goddess, and her beauty surpasses the whole creation. She is a worthy consort for you. Take her for your own and be avenged on Ram. In his fury, Ravan again approached Maricha for help in kidnapping Sita. But Marich had his own reasons to fear Rama especially, and he tried to dissuade him. You underestimate Ram's strength, he replied, full of dread. You will never succeed in taking Sita, any more than you could steal the brilliance from the sun. But if somehow you do, Rama will surely kill you in battle and lay waste to the city of Lanka. I did not ask your opinion, Ravana replied sharply. I merely asked your help. Go to Dandaka forest and use your magical art to take the shape of a golden deer. Show yourself to Sita, who will surely ask Ram to catch you. Then, while he is away, mimic his voice to call Lakshman. And while Sita is unprotected, I will capture her. Forget Sita, or you condemn us both to death with this perilous plan, Maricha rasped, his mouth dry with fear. Do as I ask or fail me, and your life is worth nothing. I do not keep traitors. Risk death from Ram or face certain death from me. The choice is yours. Very well. I will accept death from Ram, which will be better than death from you. But I warn you, when he has killed me, he will come for you and destroy your kingdom. But you will not heed my words. A person who is destined to die does not accept advice from friends. Then let us leave, pronounced Ravan, and together they boarded his chariot and sped to Dandaka forest. Sita had gone a little way from the cottage to collect flowers when she caught sight of a beautiful golden deer among the trees. It was unlike any she had seen before, with horns glinting like sapphire, hoofs like gems, and golden flanks spotted with silver. It pranced and spun in circles, then cocked its head to gaze at her. She was captivated. Ram, Lakshman, do look. The brothers saw the deer, but Lakshman, ever vigilant, was suspicious. Beware, Rama, this is no real deer. It is an illusion of the demon Maricha, who practices this deception to lure his prey. He has killed and eaten many this way. But it is so beautiful, said Sita. Do catch it for me, my lord, and we can keep it as a pet. Or you could kill it, and we will sit on its golden skin. You will have this deer alive or dead, promised Ram. If, as Lakshman says, it turns out to be Maricha, I will slay him, just as he has slain so many. Rama made Lakshman stay with Sita to protect her, then took up his bow in pursuit of the deer. He tried to capture it, but it fled deep into the forest, luring him far from the cottage. Growing uneasy, he decided to kill it and sent a flaming arrow into its heart. Struck to the core and on the verge of dying, Marich shed the illusory shape of the golden deer and revealed his true monstrous form. In agony, he cried out, mimicking Rama's voice, Alas, Sita, Lakshman, help me, and gave up his life. The forest fell silent. Ram felt his heart grow cold with fear for Sita. He sped back in the direction of the cottage. Sita and Lakshman had heard the plaintive cry, and Sita appealed to him to go and help Rama, but he did not stir. Why don't you go? Princess, there is no need. Your husband is invincible, and no one, demon or god, can harm him. What you heard was not Rama's voice, but a trick of Maricha. Rama has ordered me to protect you, and I cannot leave you alone here. Are you Rama's enemy that you want him to die so that you can possess me? Cried Sita in outrage. Is it me you have wanted all this time, you deceitful and cruel man? Her words cut Lakshman to the quick. Very well, I will go to Rama, he spoke in anger and hurt, but you are in grave danger. May the woodland deities protect you. And he was gone, leaving Sita streaming tears and beating her breast. As night follows day, the coming of Ravan followed Lakshman's departure. Disguised in the saffron robes and of an ascetic, he advanced through the trees toward the cottage. As he did so, the birds fell silent and the air went still. He saw Sita on the ground in front of her cottage, her moon-like face bathed in tears, and he was smitten by the arrow of love. O delicate lady, I am enchanted by your slender waist, your broad hips and round breasts. I have never seen such loveliness. Who are you, and why are you alone in this dangerous forest? Confused and afraid, Sita did her best to receive the mendicant with due respect, offering him a seat and giving him food and water. As she did so, she looked around nervously for Ram or Lakshman, but saw only the dense green forest spread in all directions. She introduced herself and then asked who he was. His answer terrified her. I am ten-headed Ravan, feared by all the gods. My capital across the sea is Lanka, the most beautiful and best fortified city in the universe. Come, live there with me, where 5,000 maids will serve you. Forget Rama. He is not even equal to my little finger. I am the devoted wife of Ram, protested Sita, who is a lion among men. Beside him you are a jackal and can never hope to have me. Her body shook with fear. You may think yourself invincible, but if you take me, your life is at an end. Bristling with anger, Ravana showed his true colossal form with 10 heads, blood-red eyes and 20 arms, covered in red robes and golden ornaments. Grasping Sita's hair, he dragged her to his golden chariot. O Rama, you do not know what is happening to me, Sita cried as Ravana's chariot rose into the sky. O trees, rivers, and spirits of the forest, all you animals and birds, please tell my dearest Ram that Sita was carried away by Ravan. All this time, Jatayu slept in a nearby tree. Now the bird awoke to see a tragedy unfolding. He spread his wings and took to the air, warning Ravan. Old as I am, I will kill you as Ram killed your brother. Stay and fight with me, prowler of the night. Ravana turned on Jatayu like one mountain clashing with another and struck him with hundreds of barbed arrows. Jatayu tore at him with his sharp talons and beak, breaking his bow, killing his mules and chariot driver, and sending his chariot crashing down to the ground. Ravan held Sita tightly as he fell to the ground. Then, leaving her, he rose once more into the sky by mystic power alone. Jatayu swooped upon his back and slashed at his head and shoulders, tearing off his 20 arms. But as each arm was lost, another grew in its place. The aged Jatayu grew tired while Ravana's fury intensified. He severed Jatayu's wings and he fell to the ground, able to rise no more. Sita cried bitterly and embraced Jatayu as he lay dying. She tried to flee, but laughing, the cruel monster took her by the hair a second time and lifted her up into the darkening sky. In the heavens the gods watched. Our purpose is accomplished, they said grimly. His destruction is now certain. Nothing can save him from the wrath of Ram. Ravana carried Sita through the air to Lanka, like a cloud flashing with lightning. "You shameless creature," she cried, "my Lord will pursue you to the ends of the earth, and once he has found you, your life will not last 1 hour. You are caught in the noose of death." As Ravana's shadow sped over the forest, Sita spied far below 5 great monkey chiefs seated on a mountain peak. She tied her jewels in her silk wrapper and threw them down unnoticed by Ravan. The monkey chiefs received the jewels and looked up with unwinking eyes. They saw Sita, her face wet with tears, coursing through the air in the grip of Ravan. Unaware that he had been seen, the evil monster flew on to Lanka, carrying in his arms his own death in the form of Sita. Ram had gone further from the cottage than he intended. As he hurried back deep in the jungle, behind him a jackal gave forth a lonely howl, sending a shiver down his spine. He knew the Rakshasas would want revenge for the terrible defeat he had inflicted on them. Now, with Maricha's trick unmasked, he feared the worst. How could he have been fooled so easily? His only hope was that Lakshman had not been taken in by Maricha's false cry for help and had stayed with Sita. Yet his worst fears were confirmed when he met Lakshman coming alone the other way, his face ashen. "Where is Sita?" Ram called out in dismay. "I fear some demon will have carried her away or killed her. Lakshman!" Lakshman, realizing his mistake, remained silent. "Where is she, who shared my sufferings with me all this time?" Ram continued. "Is she still alive? If not, I shall die." Racing through the undergrowth, scratched and bruised, they came to the cottage. All was empty and silent, mats and eating utensils in disarray. The only sound was the trees creaking in the wind. "Why did you leave her?" cried Ram. Lakshman sorrowfully tried to explain what had happened. "You should not have taken a woman's harsh words so seriously," Rama reproached, then pondered. "Perhaps she has gone to the river to fetch water or go out to gather flowers." They looked in her favorite places but could not find her. Running here and there like a madman, Ram scoured the forest, calling out to the trees and the animals. "Trees, did my dear Sita come to you gathering flowers? Deer, did she pass this way? Tigers, did you see her moon-like face?" He imagined he saw her before him. "Why are you running away from me, my darling? Wait, come back." He returned to the empty cottage and called out, "Come out now, sweetheart. Do not jest. I know you are hiding. Please do not leave me. I cannot live without you." "Don't give in to this madness, brother," said Lakshman. "We must try to find her. She may have wandered off, so we shall search the mountains, the caves, rivers, and forests." But although they searched long, no trace of Sita could be found. Lakshman tried his best to console his brother, but Ram cried bitter tears. "How will I ever be able to return to Ayodhya without Sita? Lakshman, you must go back and tell them that without Sita I could not live. Tell Bharat to take the throne and rule the earth. My sinful deeds in past births have now caught up with me. She has been taken by cruel demons who even now drink her blood. To think that she used to sit here on this rock with me. I can hear her laughter still. O wind god, you know everything. Did you see which way she went? Please take heart," reassured Lakshman. "It is no good crying like this, Ram. We must find Sita, not simply cry for her." But Rama was lost in an ocean of grief, and he could not heed him. Rama asked the deer for news of Sita, whereupon they all looked up to the sky and turned their heads south. walking slowly in that direction, looking first to the sky, then to the ground. Lakshman read their movements and called Ram to follow. Soon they found signs of Sita's abduction. Flowers from her hair scattered on the ground, huge Rakshasa footprints, and beside them, Sita's footprints running away. Then the shattered remains of a golden chariot with quivers and a broken bow, encrusted with gems lying close by. Then they found evidence of a fierce fight with drops of blood strewn about. Nearby they found the gigantic, crushed bodies of mules and a dead charioteer, still grasping his reins and whip. "Where is she?" shouted Ram angrily, his eyes burning and his lips trembling. "If the gods do not return her, I will throw them from heaven and annihilate the world with my arrows." Unable to bear Ram's agony, Lakshman stood before him with joined hands. "My lord, you are not yourself. I know you to be mild like a moon and patient like the earth. Come back to your true self. With me as your companion and sages as your helpers, you will find Sita. We will search the oceans and rivers, forests and mountains until we find her. We will leave no place untouched. If after that we do not find her, then you may annihilate the worlds. Take heart. Everyone in this world must accept sorrow and pain and learn to overcome them. You are strong enough to be steady in the face of this calamity. Show your true qualities and awaken your wisdom. Let us take decisive action." Rama accepted his brother's good instructions. Controlling his anger and leaning on his mighty bow, he recovered himself. "What shall we do then, good brother? Let us first search the entire region, gorges, chasms, valleys, and caves, all the places loved by demons. Then consider what else to do." They set off, bows in hand. Almost immediately, they found Jatayu lying on the ground like a fallen mountain. Ram took him for a demon and was about to finish him with an arrow when he heard him murmur, "O child, the lady you seek was carried off by a great Rakshasa, along with my life. I tried to stop him, but he got the best of me. I killed his charioteer and destroyed his chariot, but now he has flown to the south with Sita." "It was the evil Ravan, the half-brother of Kubera," whispered Jatayu, his voice fading. "Speak more," begged Ram, but Jatayu had breathed his last. "This king of the birds was a great soul, Lakshman, who sacrificed his life for my service," said Ram. "Souls such as this can be found even among birds and animals. He was my devoted servant, and his passing pains me as much as the loss of Sita. Fetch some wood so that we may give him a worthy cremation and help him attain the reward for his great sacrifice." They burned Jatayu's remains and chanted prayers over them. After bathing in the river, they offered fruits in his memory and found peace in their minds. Then they put that place and its memories behind them and set off to the south in search of Sita. The search begins. At first, Ram and Lakshman were confronted with densely tangled jungle. With great difficulty, they managed to penetrate it and find a way to the west, out of the Dandaka forest. They entered another forest, filled with a threatening presence. Lakshman's left arm throbbed, and he felt a sense of foreboding. They heard from the heart of the forest a terrible roar. With swords drawn, they went towards it and found a strange and horrifying monster of awesome dimensions. The creature was blue and covered in bristling hairs, without head or legs, but with two enormous arms. In the center of its body was a large mouth filled with sharp teeth, which blazed, and above it blazed a single eye. Ram and Lakshman surveyed it from a good distance, but without approaching them, it seemed suddenly to extend its great arms across the intervening space and seize them, squeezing the breath from their bodies. Caught in its grip, they thought that now, after having survived so many calamities, their end had at last come. But as the monster carried them toward its mouth to swallow them, they were able to draw their swords and each sever an arm at the shoulder, rendering it powerless. It spoke to them. "Who are you two heroes that have so fearlessly overcome me?" "This is Rama, son of Emperor Dasarath, and I am Lakshman, his brother. Rama has been exiled to the forest by his father and now seeks Sita, his consort, who was carried away by a Rakshasa. But who are you, and how did you get this terrible form?" "I will tell you my story," said the monster. "I was once Kabanda, a demigod of the heavens, equal in beauty to the sun god himself. For my amusement, I used to terrorize the rishis of the forest in this monstrous form. One day, I assailed a powerful mystic who cursed me to be trapped in this body. I begged him for mercy, and he conceded that when Lord Ram would come and cremate me in a lonely forest, I would regain my former splendor. Since then, I have stayed here in this forest and made it my habit to grab anything that moves in the hope that one day this Ram would fall into my grasp. Now, Lord Ram, you have come to save me, and I await your mercy. If you do what must be done by burning this body to ashes, I will regain my godly form, as well as the ability to give you good advice for your search." Ram and Lakshman readily agreed to help the ogre and asked for help in return. "We know that Sita was taken by the Rakshasa king Ravan, but we do not know what he looks like or where he lives. Help us in this." They gathered together wood and built a fire and placed the monster upon it. As its ugly body sizzled and melted into the flames, the celestial Kabanda emerged, brilliant and joyful, decorated with gorgeous robes and ornaments and garlanded with unfading flowers. An aerial chariot appeared before him, and he seated himself upon it, illuminating in all directions with its effulgence, and then turned to Ram. "Listen to my advice," he said. "It is said that a person suffering misfortune should make alliance with another suffering similar misfortune. There is a monkey chief called Sugriv, who was cast out of his kingdom by his brother Bali. He is a great hero. Being the son of Surya, the sun god, he will help you in your quest for Sita. I tell you this, his monkeys will search every corner, and whether she is on the pinnacle of heaven or in the depths of the underworld, they will find her and restore her to you after helping you destroy the demon Ravan and his armies. You will find Sugriv by the side of Pampa Lake. From here you must go westward, passing through forests of abundant fruit trees. You will see places resembling paradise and with dripping honey and nectar-like fruits. Pass over mountain and hill until you reach the lotus-filled lake of Pampa, and there you will find the ashram of the saintly woman, Sabari, who even now awaits your arrival. After visiting her, look for Sugriv on Rishyamukh Hill to the east of the lake." Even as he spoke, Kabanda began to glow, rising into the heavens, calling, "Seek Sugriv," and was gone. Following the way pointed out to them, the brothers reached the edge of Pampa, and there they saw the hermitage of Sabari. She clasped their feet in joy. "I have kept for you many forest foods. Please come to my ashram," she begged. "Today my life of penance is at an end. I have seen you, Lord Ram, who are the greatest of the gods and the flower of humanity. I shall now depart this world in peace." At their request, she showed them around the ashram, which had been home to Matanga and other great sadhus, who had already departed this world for the supreme destination. "Now, Lord, permit me to cast off this aged body. long worn out by practice of penance and prayer. I long to join those great souls who went before me and whom I serve with love. Before their eyes, she entered a mystic fire and was transformed, emerging as an ethereal form which vanished up into the sky. By the company of this saintly woman, said Ram, I feel thoroughly purified. Whatever bad karma we have been suffering has been cleansed, and now our good fortune awaits us, beginning with our meeting with Sugriv. Meanwhile, carrying in his arm his death incarnate, Ravana reached the city of Lanka. He handed Sita to Rakshasa women, telling them to serve her every need. Next, he sent 8 of his most powerful warriors to the Dandaka forest as spies to keep him informed of Ram's movements. His mind turned to Sita and how to win her love. He showed her his palace housing thousands of women, with pillars of ivory and crystal, stairways of gold, walls studded with diamonds, and floors inlaid with gems. The city of Lanka covers 800 square miles and is impregnable, he boasted. I command 200 million Rakshasas. All this I give, if you will be my queen. Further, I give you Pushpak, the magical spaceship I won from my half-brother Kubera, the treasurer of the gods. It will take us anywhere you wish to go, with the speed of thought. But come, dear lady, why look so miserable? Sita's face was wet with tears. You have unlawfully kidnapped me, you evil monster, and your death is sealed. You can keep me in chains or put me to death. I will never give myself to you. I will give you 1 year to surrender to me, growled Ravan. After that, my sweet, I will have you cut into pieces and served for my breakfast. He called the Rakshasa women. Take her to the Ashoka grove and hold her captive there. Give her no rest, but torment her until she agrees to surrender to me. Sita, thinking only of her Lord, fainted and was carried away. Now we will close the reading and begin the evening oddity in just a couple of minutes with another live stream. Thank you. Om.